Welcome back. Joe Blasco here again for MUA TV Spotlight on Success. And our special guest today is none other than the very talented Mr. Greg Cannom.
Hello.
Greg, I just want to thank you for being here today.
My pleasure.
I have to tell you right off the bat that the makeup that you did in Benjamin Button, and I know the world is sharing this opinion, is incredibly realistic and absolutely some of the most outstanding, if not the most outstanding, aging makeup ever done for a motion picture. That is my opinion, and I know that there are many, many other professionals that share this opinion. And I have to tell you, if you have not seen The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, and if you're interested in makeup artistry, professional makeup artistry, you have to make it your business to see it. It is absolutely flawless.
Beautiful film.
It is a beautiful film. I'd like to see it, even get Best Picture. Obviously, I'd like to see it get Best Makeup. And I have a few questions. I mean, when you look at a film like Benjamin Button, the makeup doesn't really call attention to itself. I mean, it adds to the film. It's real. The makeup is real. If the makeup did not appear to be real, anatomically correct, then obviously it would ruin the film. That responsibility must be just terrifying, unimaginable. Tell me how you approached designing the makeup for Benjamin Button?
Well, I'm very lucky they asked me. They came to me, David Fincher, Sion Chafin, and said, we, want you to do it. You're the best person to do it. And that was really flattering. But then it was very scary because it's, a huge film, a lot of money. And if the makeups didn't work, it was going to be bad. And, it's a costume movie. It's a visual effects movie. But it was really exciting for me because it all interacted.
Right.
And to me,
beautiful story.
I love to do age makeup and try to make it flow.
Right.
And it's a really original, very unusual love story.
Yes.
But it was different. That's what I really liked about it.
Yes.
And then also with him aging backwards and her everybody else going forwards, it was so confusing trying to figure out, when they're this age, they're meeting and they go in and out, and it was all over the place.
Well,
and
there was continuity.
There were days in the script we never could figure out exactly what year it was because it was just so many scenes and different times, and there were just some scenes we just had to guess at what year it was.
There's some time, and I know that all of you out there will share this as well, and that is that oftentimes when you watch a film and you see this age progression done normally, going from young to old, not backwards. I mean, that's even more responsibility. But you'll see it and you'll go, wait a minute, they're too old for that, or during this stage, or they're not old enough during this stage. I have to tell you, I'm very critical when I see films, and when I watched Benjamin Button, I looked for that. And it was flawless all the way through. I mean, the progression, the way that they cut it all together, the various stages that you chose for each transition, each area of transition, were perfect. And it appears, honestly, that there was not a day during that shoot that you did not do some special makeup.
The thing I liked about this movie, it wasn't just a normal progression where we had Brad and Kate aging, because then we would have had to have made them up old throughout the film at the same times, and then I would have been going back and forth between two with people helping me, and that's really hard. But because Brad goes backwards and she's young, and that it worked great because then I could concentrate on Brad the whole time, and then when he was young, I could concentrate on Kate the whole time. And there's scenes in the movie, I was looking at it, when he looks in the mirror and goes, I think we're about the same age.
We're meeting in the middle.
And he's like, you're 43 or something, and I'm 47 or that. And I'm going, oh, yeah, and they've got stipple on. I put stipple on those makeups. They're wearing a little bit of age makeups for those scenes, which was... So there's just makeup throughout it, but David Fincher is such an incredible director that it's just, like you said, flawless.
Yes. Let's talk about him. The lighting, I noticed, was beautiful. And sometimes you see a film that is featuring special makeup effects and prosthetics of this nature, and the lighting isn't good. This time, the lighting is absolutely flawless. Is there was it shot with Kino flow? Was it shot with bounced light? Was it,
Claudio, the cinematographer, is incredible, and then David knows how to shoot it, and
yes.
he really knows how to shoot makeup and how to make it look right, and it was so beautiful, all the shots in the film, and plus, they did a little tiny bit of touch-up too here and there, which to me, in this day and age, you should do, because makeups are...
CGI, you're talking CGI. What exactly did they touch up? So we're going to set the record straight.
I'm not sure. I was told by... David Fincher told Will Huff once, and then I was told by the guy who did the touch-ups. Yes. And he said that the makeups, were so beautiful, he hardly did any touch-ups in it. So I don't know what they touched up in it. I couldn't tell.
They were flawless.
I absolutely couldn't tell what they touched up. But luckily, the makeups, I think, were as good as they could get, considering everything. Like Kate's makeup in the hospital room when she's 85. I mean, up close with the naked eye, it was a pretty amazing makeup. Yes. It was very clean, and it's like the first, these makeups are like so clean. I've never been able to get them that good like in this film before.
Flawless. We certainly succeeded in achieving what you want. The first shot is like this on her. I mean, it starts right on her eyes. It pulls back, and the finite, the wrinkling is so beautiful.
And that's what those transfer pieces are based on, Tinsley transfers.
Yes.
We used, I wanted to use them for the crow's feet and like the upper lip and that. Brian Sipe suggested them for the forehead, and I went, that won't work. And then he did it, and it worked beautifully and blended it right into the eyebrow, because I hate doing fake eyebrows and fake foreheads, and they were so thin, and you could melt it right into the eyebrow so that it was able to use their own eyebrow. But like on Kate in that scene in the hospital, I was able to take the stipple and blend it right into the transfers, so there's no edges anywhere, and it all wrinkles up.
Yeah, it's seamless.
Blends. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah. Who did the sculpting of that?
Miles Tevis.
Miles Tevis.
I would rough them out. I usually rough them out, and then Miles takes them, and then he, does beautiful finishing work and all the wrinkles, and he's so incredible.
Obviously, when the success of a makeup of this nature requires just exquisite sculpting work and application and painting. Of those three areas, which you involve yourself in all three of those areas, right?
Yes.
Because you're supervising. You're going. Which to you do you prefer? If you had to choose one that you would do, like I'm going to do all the sculpting, or I'm going to do all the application.
Well,
what?
It's all of them, because sculpting, it's the hardest part.
Yes.
Because you're working with these faces, and I think I'm really good at form in that.
Yes.
I'm not the best sculptor in the world, because there's people like Miles in that, but I'm really good as a makeup artist, knowing, I think like Dick Smith, and he's better than I am at sculpting, but I'm really good with form and what I think is going to look good on the film, and work with people's faces and that, because we've had people in the past that are sculptors try to sculpt a makeup, and it just isn't quite there.
Yes.
Miles is incredible. I mean, he could do it too.
Well, you have to be familiar with the process.
Yeah.
What you're sculpting for the purpose of making an appliance that has very thin edges that's going to be imperceptibly blended onto the skin.
Yeah.
If you just bring a sculptor in that doesn't understand that concept, then you have problems.
Yeah, it would take me forever to finish a sculpture off. The detail work in that, but I can rough it in, and I work on it, and then I'll give it to Miles, and he'll work on it, and he'll start doing things, and he'll clean it up a bit, and then I'll get it back, and I'll work on it more and keep changing it until it'll go back and forth until I know it's what I want, and then he takes it over, and then I usually cut it and float it off, and we break it down into pieces, and he finishes all the fine detail then. But then for me, to make it up, to get the pieces and the actor and to put it on, and when it starts looking like something, like the tests we did, with, and then Kate, like you would make Kate up in the old makeup, and she's got that beautiful long neck, and instantly she'd get into it, and she'd know how to move it perfectly for the stills, and she'd get all the and
her voice, she was so flawless. She was so great.
To be able to do a makeup like that on Kate Blanchett,
oh my God!
Because I'm just like freaking all the time.
You have
such a fan.
He has a story
such a fan
where you
of
were
hers.
doing the makeup or the test makeup on Kate, and you had her on she was on one of the stages, and she went in to see Spielberg or some.
The
director.
time.
Yes. Tell us about that.
Yes, they were. We were at Paramount shooting. Was it Paramount?
Doing the makeup test.
No, we were shooting.
Oh, you were actually shooting.
This was the last 2 weeks of the movie. I was on it for 18 months, and we shot for 8 to 9 months. And it was cool because David Fincher shot that at the end, so she could really feel how her life was during the course of the film and all the ages.
Yes.
For her to, remember all that, which was a great idea.
How long did it take to shoot that before you finished the story? That entire.
It was 2 weeks.
It was 2 weeks.
The bed scene in the hospital.
The bed scene.
We shot for 2 weeks, and it took about 4 hours to do her makeup. 14 appliances. And luckily, she didn't have any hair work. She had the wrap and everything. And her voice is amazing.
Yeah, it really is.
And the way she acts and the mouth. And
perfect.
But
Go back
there
to
was
the story.
one day where they were shooting Indiana Jones next door.
Yes.
And they were shooting, and I think it was Kathleen Kennedy. I think it was Kathleen Kennedy or the other producer, Frank Marshall.
Yes.
Took her over to see Spielberg because we had shot Benjamin Button and all the stuff, and then she went and shot Indiana Jones, then came back for this 2 weeks, and they were right next door to us on the lot.
Love it.
And I think it was Frank Marshall took her over to Spielberg, and I heard that Spielberg saw her coming and just thought it was some somebody, some
Somebody's
fan
bringing
of
their
that was
grandmother
trying to, which way can I go or something, and Kate walked up, and it's me, Kate, and he was like, oh my God.
Freaked out.
So that was really thrilling for me that he got to see that, my work.
He's like a kid, you're like a kid in a candy shop.
It is.
You have such enthusiasm and such love for what you do.
And it was great. Bill Corso came over and saw it that day too, which I love because it's fun when somebody like that and you've done some work which you really think is turned out nice, and another great makeup artist gets to see it.
Yes.
And he was
and
got to see it up close.
And
I was going, good. He can see. I think it's pretty clean. And
right. He's
works.
So good. He's such a good guy.
He's great.
Yeah.
I've worked with him a lot.
How many? He's one of my graduates. I can't take credit for his talent. He has, he's just over the top. But tell me this: how many individual steps were there? How many actual makeups were there to age in making him younger, from beginning to end?
Well, there were the computer effects, and then
Not counting computer effects.
No, but
just the makeups.
But the computer effects down to 62
Yes.
on the boat. I took over with the makeup, and I did 62. There were, I think, 5 or 6 basic stages, and then in between those, we would do between little stages
Yes.
for all these other scenes. But the 5 or 6 basic was like 62, 58, 55,
Yes.
50,
So
47.
you would use an appliance, and then in between these stages, you would either add age to it or remove age from it. From the same appliance, add stipple or remove stipple.
I might use the older forehead and subtler
or
cheeks.
more age marks.
And and then I do the age marks in
More
between
shading.
the two because I have all the pictures of them. So I do the age spots in between the two and line it in between the two. And
so you were keeping the continuity between pieces by the way that you were painting the pieces.
Yeah,
That
and it was trying to keep track,
Yeah.
because we shot it all over the
How
place.
did you get all of the age spots in the same place each day for
I-
2 weeks?
And I consider myself pretty good with age spot. I did all his hands,
Yeah.
all the coloring on the hands with the
fantastic.
age spots, and I'm really good at it. And I just have all the photographs of the
Yes.
hands and
Yes.
each side of the face, forehead, and then I just get them pretty close every time. I
Yes.
can do
Yeah.
it pretty close.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Really, really beautiful job.
And I use tattoo colors, for the age spots.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing I found is that people do overdo age spots.
Yes.
And what I do is I go in with a little brush, and paint them all in, and they're always too hard. So I then will just take alcohol in the brush,
Soften it.
clean it off, and then I'll go back and hit them all
Right.
to knock them down to like half as much.
It
of that-
diffuses the edges. of it,
because
yeah.
on film they're going to look twice as much.
That's right. Yeah, very good. Which of the phases did you enjoy working? Which stage? Which did you enjoy the most?
Well, the oldest are the funnest.
Yeah.
I mean, but the middle ones are hardest.
Yeah.
To subtly
Connecting them-
age
connecting them.
the less pieces and trying to age someone 50 or 60. But to do the old ones.
Yes.
Like Kate, the 85, that was so much fun, and all the freckles. Will Huff mainly helped me with Kate.
Yes.
And, he'd go in and spray some spots, but he did all the freckles
Yes.
with, just spraying
Yes.
on all the tattoo,
Now,
watered down
yes.
freckle colors.
Your credit is it designed and applied, or is it
I
created
try to
and
put
applied?
design, created, and applied by.
Right. Now, obviously there was so much to apply. How many others did you have working with you while you were doing the actual application?
Well,
Helping.
I did like all the makeups on Kate and Brad and
Yes.
Taraji and that, and then Brian Sipe helped me with Brad doing all of his main makeups. But
Yes.
then when we did Brad, we tried to do it in 2 hours.
Yes.
Very quickly, and there were like 2 other people, so Will would come in and help with
Yes.
hands, or
Yes.
Alexi or somebody. So we do that, and when we did Kate, then Will Huff and myself would do her, and then Brian would come in and help with the hands and other people,
Yes.
to help get things done, and the transfers, putting the transfers on. And
Yes. The makeup on Kate when Brad is young, I think, is absolutely flawless. It's so beautiful. It's this. She does appear to be matronly, but yet still, trying to retain her beauty. Did you do the
You mean
beauty
when-
makeup?
You mean when Brad's old?
Yes. No. Yes.
Because he's old, technically.
Yes,
That's
yes.
so hard. When he looked young,
Yes, exactly.
and she was
Exactly.
old and started looking.
That's right. When she's
Yes.
old, he's young.
And that was really fun to do, because all these, we did a makeup on Brad in the beginning of the film, and it was a heavier makeup with a lot of texture, kind of like Andrew Wyeth. And because Brad wanted to try a lot of texture, which is great,
Yes.
but it looked really bad.
Yeah.
Because you lose Brad, and it was too
Right.
fat, and
This reminds me of something. There was something in Makeup Artist magazine that I saw, and it was a picture of Brad in another makeup that was supposedly a test for Benjamin Button.
there were a lot of tests.
Did you do these as well?
Oh,
or
yeah.
You did?
A lot of tests. And some of them, they look great.
Yeah.
Different wigs and that. No, there were a lot of tests done.
Yes.
And he looked really, really good. But that was, at that time, I was trying to make him and Kate, they have to look handsome and
Yes.
beautiful.
Yes.
Because you can't start doing ugly, fat
No,
makeups
no.
on these actors. And so we and then the other thing with the silicone, trying to get it as thin as possible. And Brad really wanted it thin.
Thin, yes.
And we kept arguing.
But that's the whole secret, to get as much effect as you can, as thin as possible,
Yes.
and you create even more dimension with the way that you paint it. That's something I learned from Ben Nye. He said, you used to say, kid, your appliances shouldn't be any more than 1/8 of an inch thick. Yeah, and I agree.
Yeah.
Especially now with HD and all
Yeah.
of this, The beauty makeup on Kate, who did that?
Elaine Offers.
Yeah, it was really beautiful.
Yeah. No, she's great. And she would do the makeup. Going back to the matronly look, with Kate, I wanted to keep her very beautiful, and I used like Audrey Hepburn
Yes.
and Jessica Tandy
Yes.
for her kind of a look.
Yes,
I wanted that look, but also with her being a ballerina.
Ballet instructor, yes.
And that we went in and Lane did the makeup on top, the heavy eye makeup,
Yes.
which
As she was aging.
as she was aging,
This is what I was talking about. I thought it was
which
brilliant.
gave her a great
Character
look.
makeup.
Oh, yeah,
Fantastic.
yeah, and you know, she plays it so incredible. You know,
Now, I understand that the actor that played the captain of the tugboat is
Jared Harris.
Richard Harris's son.
Yes,
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
I just found that out.
That's amazing. That's great. He looks
Yeah.
like Richard
And
Harris, doesn't he?
He was fantastic.
Now, who did
he was
his
covered
makeup,
in
the
the
tattoos and all of that?
We designed them all in the shop. I didn't do that, but Will and
A wonderful makeup. Really beautifully
Brian
done.
Sipe worked on that, and
Well, you know, there's so much makeup in this picture. I mean, aside from the logistics and the dynamics of really coordinating everything and making certain that all of your continuity is right on the money, just the fact that there's you get the beauty makeups, then you have the older ballerina makeup, then you have all the tattoos, and you have hair work, you've got in the very early part of the picture. When he's being born, Benjamin Button's
Yes.
being born, the mutton chops and the character effects there. Also, I mean, there's a lot of different makeup in this film, and it all looks so exquisite and very, very real.
yes, and
And-
Colleen Callahan did all the hair work. She was the head of the hair department.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
She's
Jean Black
fabulous,
was
yeah.
the head of the makeup department,
Yes.
who was in charge of all the makeup in the film, all
Yes.
the World War I shots
Yes.
and all that. But Colleen, you know, was just, she's so incredible.
Yes.
And
Now you're on the ticket, so to speak. You've been nominated without the hairdresser. Is there a story with that? No.
yes, we were trying for hair, Colleen and myself, and
Yes.
during the meetings, it was hair and makeup. And then there's a small board in the academy that actually votes on who should be on the ticket.
Yes.
And
So this is their decision to exclude hair.
there's a few people in that board that voted not to include Colleen, so it's a secret ballot, and it's all very official, and it was done. And
Well,
it was
to
very...
make a decision like that is.
Yeah, I don't think it's fair. They did
Arguable.
the same thing with Wes Wofford on Bicentennial Man.
Hmm.
You know, he did every makeup, old age makeup. We developed the silicone for
Yes.
Bicentennial Man.
Yes.
He did every makeup with me on that film, and they decided to take his name
They
off.
excluded
It wasn't fair to the other people or something. I don't know,
Yeah.
and that I was infuriated by that. But I don't. It should be up to. I think it should be up to me.
Should be up to the department head.
And the
You are the
hair
department
and the
head.
makeup department should get together, decide,
Right.
and then
Were you the department head? You were
everybody-
the department head
for the special
for the
makeup.
special makeup.
Special makeup.
Right.
And it should be
Well, it was
us that-
special hair as well. It's aging hair.
Well, it's the look.
Yeah, the whole look. It's all.
It's the whole look,
it's all
and I don't
3D.
see how you can
Yeah.
say the makeup, well, the hair was okay, but
Right.
it's on a bald cap. And what she went through on that film, well, we went through what's the word? Deliver.
Right, exactly.
The final look.
Right.
It was a very difficult film.
Well,
I
it's
mean,
the.
they wanted each wig one hair at a time where you could
Yes.
see through the wigs,
Yes.
and she had, you know, it was just so much work, and it was so hard, and I don't understand how they can say, oh, well, it was average hair. It wasn't.
They actually said that.
I think
That
that's how
seems
they.
so unfair.
Well, I think that's how they picked it. I don't know,
Yeah.
but it's.
All right, well, we won't go
so-
into we won't go into that anymore. The bottom line is that the picture is being recognized, the makeup is being recognized. In my opinion, the combination of makeup and hair, those are the physical attributes that create the image and the character. They're deciding not to include hair. As I said, is arguable.
And it's not fair to the other hairdressers.
No, it really isn't.
If they don't pick hair for something like this,
Right.
what are they going to pick hair for?
Right.
You know, I mean,
Who
don't
did the hair?
understand that.
Speaking of hair, who did the punching into the silicone? The hair punching.
we didn't do any punching.
You didn't do any punching?
It was all wigs, hair pieces.
Oh, really? When he was old, at the beginning of the picture, and he's bald. These are all lace pieces that you're.
Yes, that we did on Brad.
Yeah.
I mean, the visual effects did amazing. They did a little beard stubble on the CGI look, I couldn't believe how amazing it was.
Yes.
But everything we did was wigs and hair work.
Yes.
We didn't do any punching.
Right. The youthful teenage Brad Pitt is also remarkable.
That was amazing.
Now you did you put I know that it was done CGI mainly.
Yeah.
Say 75% CGI. But you also did you do a rejuvenation makeup of any kind, any highlighting or
I didn't. That's where Gene Black and Colleen came in. Colleen does a wrap where it does a whole facelift on somebody.
Oh, I see, yes.
And I think she did on
did
Kate
that.
everybody.
Oh, I see.
But did on Brad, and then I think they used some lifts in some of the shots, and
Yes.
then whole corrective makeup Gene did on him.
Yes.
And, to get that going.
Right.
But I couldn't believe how absolutely amazing that CGI.
He never
and
looked so
everything
good.
that they pulled off. That's the hard
Right.
thing about this movie. When we started it, we didn't know if the CGI old age and stuff was going to work.
Right.
We didn't know if the makeup was going
Right.
to work well enough, and especially the young stuff,
Right,
because
right,
it hadn't
right.
been done
Right.
really well before. So to see the final film and
Yeah.
to see how smoothly, I mean,
Yeah,
we sat there,
seamlessly
Will
continues.
and myself, we tried to figure out where he came in
Right.
in the makeup
Right.
from the CGI on the tugboat.
Right.
And it took us a while to figure it out because we couldn't tell. It was so matched and so smooth, But to see it all work, and it actually all worked together, it's that's what's so exciting about this film, is that it's like The Mask. When I did The Mask and that, it's groundbreaking.
Yes, yes.
Like Titanic, you do a movie like this, and you can never
Yes.
really do another film like this
Look at all
again.
these films that you've done. These are really groundbreaking films. The age makeup that you did, in Bicentennial Man, all those ages there, with Wes, right? Wes did the
Wes Woff.
Yes, Wes Wofford. And then Titanic. Now this.
The Mask, A Beautiful
Yeah.
Mind.
Absolutely. Beautiful Mind.
that-
The Beautiful Mind you pulled right out of the box. I mean, you had hardly, what'd you have, 2 weeks worth of preparation for that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was amazing as well.
But these films, I'm so lucky in my career.
Not only-
A film one after another, roommates. I mean, they just go on and on and
but
on.
let me say this. I've seen, there's so many famous makeup artists that do prosthetics.
Mm-hmm.
They're getting awards for the prosthetics that they do.
Mm-hmm.
I think I can honestly say that the work that you do has somewhat been limited to incredibly sophisticated, very demanding pictures. These are not comedies. They're not comedies. A
Well, The Mask
Bicentennial
was.
Man
The
and The
Mask
Mask, yeah, but still. I mean, look at
Mrs.
Bicentennial
Doubtfire.
Man.
Look at
well,
Mrs.
Mrs. Doubtfire. That's
Look
true.
at how huge that
That's
film.
true. Yeah.
And I had 3 weeks. I had like 3 weeks to come up with The Mask.
Yes.
And I didn't know if it was going to work, and I kept it, away from his mouth because
Yes,
of his
yes.
expressions,
Yes.
and it was foam, and
But
I
I'm-
thought it was going to be buckling all
What
over
I'm
the
saying
place,
is
but it
the
worked.
degree of sophistication.
Yeah,
in reality.
but I'm just lucky that I've gotten these films, and it's absolutely terrifying to get on these huge films because I go, if this makeup doesn't work, the film isn't going
That's
to work.
right, exactly.
And
it all
it's
rests
a
on your shoulders.
$150 million movie, and it's absolutely terrifying. When I get on a film, I'm like, why am I doing?
Yeah, you keep telling me you're going to retire.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to retire. Joe, I'm going to retire. I want to come work for you and teach, he says. It's never going to happen.
It's true.
You can still come teach when you're not
But
in between films.
How can I when these films come
We're
in?
going to do MUA TV right here.
Yeah.
That's right. You're going to do some seminars. We have this makeup space that's being developed, which is a cooperation between my production company and MUA TV, and we've created the makeupspace.com. I spoke with V. Neal, Matthew Mungle, and now with you, and we're putting together a group of elite makeup artists who are going to be doing the seminars. These are pay seminars. It's not free, as MUA TV is, but it's really very much worth paying for. And but reasonably priced. You'll know more about that soon. We'll be talking about it.
Then that's fun for me. I can't wait to do that because I've got a lot of knowledge in me I want to get out and teach to other people.
Right,
so
exactly.
That will be very
And
nice.
the book is coming out.
Yes.
We are going to print on Volume 2 and 3. Volume 2 is character makeup. Volume 3 is all laboratory procedures. These will be printed at the end of the month and it's going to be over about a 2-week period that they're printing these books. And we're going to have Volume 2 and 3, which features your makeups, in Volume 3. The books will be available at the next Makeup Artist Trade Show in Pasadena. So you're going to have to be there to sign books.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, definitely. Bring your Oscar.
But that'll be fun because that shows the makeup on Gary Oldman
Yes, it
from
does.
Hannibal.
Yes, it does.
Which no one's ever seen these
No.
photos or
Yes.
how it was done or
Yes,
anything.
and you were very
before.
kind letting us have those photos, too.
Yeah.
He sent us, and these have not really been published, have they, ever?
No, no one's ever seen
Yeah,
these
so it's a
photos.
step-by-step pictorial of exactly how Greg did Gary Oldman's makeup. But these are really going to be incredible to see, so you're going to want to see Volume 3. First, I have to apologize to you, because I just had some eye surgery, and this eye is very, very red. Now, I can actually see better out of this eye now than I can out of the other eye. So all of you out there who are looking at me and saying, he looks like Christopher Lee in Dracula. It will be gone. It will be gone soon.
Cool effect.
It's not bad, huh?
I like it.
I need it in both eyes.
And I got boo-boos.
Yes, and that's another thing. I know you've had a few little surgeries recently, yesterday, I believe, or day before, and to come in after that is very commendable. Thank you for doing
No
this.
problem.
For the world, for everyone. I know that everybody's really loving this. Let me ask you a few other things here. The painting of these pieces. Now, during one of our last interviews, you mentioned that you are so surprised to see how much paint you can actually load onto the surface
Makeup.
extrinsically. Yeah, the makeup. The makeup.
Yeah. Color. Yeah.
The coloring. And how did this hold true? Does this hold true also with Benjamin Button? Was there a lot of makeup that you put onto the surface of the appliances, or not quite so
No,
much?
this was much less.
Much less.
Much less. When on Bicentennial Man, I put heavy makeup. I wanted to look like a 50s
Yes.
science fiction film,
Yes.
and it still looked really good. So that's when I learned
Yes.
you could apply it on. But these I tried to keep to a minimum.
Yes.
Mark Neiman, who runs the silicone in the shop
Yes.
and helps on set in that, he has taken our silicone and he's taken it much farther now, where the edges really just melt into the skin, and he's also coloring the pieces and putting blotches in them, and
Yeah.
they're just, we can match the skin
Yeah.
kind of thing now. So I'm trying to do less. So we'll put the pieces on. I'll make up a little bit for the edges and things, and then like Will or Brian would
Yes.
come in, and they would do 4 or 5 colors of the splattering of the
Yes.
tattoo.
Yes.
To me, tattoo is too flat looking and
Yes.
matte.
What
I don't
tattoo
like it.
product did you use?
We use all of them.
All of them.
that's
The Matthew Mungle, the Skin Illustrator, the Fred Blau.
Yes, we use all of them because they are all good and they all
Yes.
have different things.
Yes.
So I do use all of
For
them.
different effects.
But then he does like 5 layers of different colors, very light,
Yes.
and just to splatter and break it up a
Yes,
bit.
yes.
Even the freckles we didn't do then, but we'd put in the reds and the yellows and a little bit green and blues,
Yes.
and very fine. And then I would take the PM colors and I would go over that
Yes.
very lightly, blotching it on.
Now, these are your own PM colors.
Yes.
These are. He's going to be manufacturing cannom PM prosthetic makeup, and that's going to be prior to the end of the year, perhaps.
Yeah.
At some point.
Yeah, whenever.
Yeah. Good. I'm
I
looking
don't have
forward
time,
to
but anyway, PM colors, go
Yes.
over it very lightly,
Yes.
and to knock down the tattoo a
Yes.
little bit, and it gives it a little shine to it,
that. Yes.
like tiny bit.
Now, you're not powdering per se.
No, not a little tiny bit of
Yeah,
powder. I mean, I put a very little on, and
Yes.
just to hit it here and there. But then, say for Kate, then we would go, I'd put the makeup on, and then I'd start doing all the lines and the spots and the age spots. And while I'm doing that, like Will would go in and do the freckles
Yes.
and spots all over her
Yes.
after I put the makeup on. And then we'd go in and with the pictures, and he'd do one side, I'd do it. And we'd go in and we'd kind of look at the freckles, how they were, and we'd erase ones to get them as close as we could.
Yes.
And then we'd add freckles in.
Yes.
Then I'd finish off the age spots, and then I would knock that down with a little tiny bit of makeup, so it's layers of translucency
Yes.
and seeing through it. So, but I really kind of try to keep them so thin because they were so, like I said, so clean. I didn't want to mess
Yes.
them up with a heavy makeup.
Yeah, absolutely. The adhesive, what adhesive did you use to attach the pieces?
We used Telesis 5.
Telesis 5.
And the one thing we do, which we found with Kate and Brad, is everybody now, we put on, it holds so good, especially with our silicone, we can't get it off after 20 hours. But we put down DermaShield,
Oh, yeah.
and we do, I think Brad was 2 or 3 coats, Kate was 3 or 4 coats of DermaShield on first, and it still holds on
It still
all day.
holds, oh, yeah.
Telesis 5.
Yeah, absolutely. We use the DermaShield in class because we want the pieces to be easier to remove. But even so, I mean, they still stick really well.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, yeah, we couldn't get them off.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
What do you use to
well.
remove at the end of the day?
We like using isopropyl myristate. Other things were just too hard on them, and we find isopropyl myristate. The stipple areas I use 244. If you put isopropyl myristate on the stipple, it gets gooey.
Yeah, it
and
does.
It's
It's
a mess. So we try to use the isopropyl myristate everywhere else, and then around the eyes we use 244,
Right.
which really lifts the stipple
All right,
really
very good,
well.
Very good. And I think, no, there's just no getting around it. This picture is definitely a milestone for makeup artistry and for what you've done. And you seem to always be pushing the envelope. And what I love so much about what you do is that everything that you do looks so damn real. You know,
Well-
it looks so good, anatomically correct. I mean, it can come in so tight. It is perfect. The
And I have to give credit to David Fincher because I knew working with him, he's a perfectionist. He was going to pull out the best work I had, and if he didn't like it, he was going to let me know. And he has great suggestions. He
Yes.
knows good makeup. He
Yes.
knows, he made great suggestions, and it was actually very easy working with him.
Yes.
And knowing all the time this movie was going to probably be absolutely spectacular, with him directing it. So that really helps that you've got confidence, in the director.
Wasn't that something? And true. Now, I understand that this was shot completely digitally. Is that correct?
Yes.
That film was not used,
Yes.
except for in certain areas when they shot Brad in the Himalayas. Another photographer was in China, came and shot him, and I don't know the details. And then there was a few other areas that were done with film. That mainly it was all done just digital, and
There was no film. It's
Yeah.
just you put the hard drive on
Yeah.
the camera, and
amazing, isn't it? Just
what
amazing.
was amazing, it was terrifying because I thought, high def,
Yes.
and these cameras are 10 times sharper than what the human eye can see.
Yes.
They're so
Oh my
high
God.
def, and so we would go see the dailies of the tests at the place where the cameras came from on
Yes.
their special digital camera, which
Yes.
was just super, super high def.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought, oh God, this is going to look horrible.
Right.
And we would go in, and it looked amazing.
Yeah.
And it was pretty heavy makeup then for the test.
Yes.
But I was shocked on the high def
To see
how
yeah.
the silicone still works, the light still goes through it, the
Yes.
edges anywhere like
Disappear.
that disappear.
Yes. Yes.
So
What's so great about that also is the fact that you're able to see dailies instantly. Were you able to like on a instantly, or would they stop? Did
no,
they
you
have
could
a
see
monitor right there on the
right
set?
there. They'd have the big
Right.
monitors, and you could just play it back, and it was the super high def,
Right, right.
and you could see.
That's what I used to like about television, because you saw your work instantly right there on the monitor. So now film has gotten to that.
And
Yeah.
Colleen found she could take her photos for continuity off the monitor.
Yes.
It was so high def, she
Amazing.
could just take pictures off
No
the
way.
monitor.
She took digital photos.
Yeah.
Can they? I suppose they could perhaps download stills from the
Oh,
from
yeah,
the
they can
from
do
the hard
anything.
drive.
They can do
for your
anything.
continuity.
They can do anything.
Yeah.
But I was so impressed, luckily, that the makeup still worked with the super high def.
Well, the translucency of
So-
the makeup is very impressive, and your ability to make certain that your crew all work so synergistically together to create just perfect continuity and just so realistic makeups.
And
It's beautiful.
every film, it's trying to take it farther,
Yes.
And this
So what's
film,
next?
This film with the transfers and the silicone
Yes.
just changed age makeups for me.
Yeah, yeah.
Because now with the combination of the two, you can do the most incredible, almost perfect age makeups.
Yes, yes.
And it just totally has changed now how I
How you
look
the
at
entire concept
Yeah.
of how to approach the
Yeah.
application.
Yeah, it's just changed it. It's
Right.
taken it so much farther.
The next step now. I mean, how do you go from this to something else? I mean, it's just you need a rest after this. You need a little vacation.
Yeah, I had time off. Well, I did The Watchmen 2 days after I finished
God.
this with Kate. Flew to Vancouver and I did The Watchmen, and that was a absolutely fantastic experience. And wait till you see this film.
I can't wait to.
It's so incredible.
You know,
Oh,
this was Benjamin Button's the purest case of Benjamin Button. I mean, this is a tearjerker. I mean, you really,
Oh, yeah.
and, you know, aside from the makeup being so beautiful and the story and this, it's a love story and a deeply intense, heartwarming love story. And I called him while the credits were running from Orlando, Florida, right? You know, they're all chomping on popcorn and slurping and crushing, making noise with their popcorn bags, and it just drives me crazy. But nevertheless, even with all that going on next to me, I was so absorbed by the film, and I was crying. And I call him. It seems that every time I call him, I'm crying. You know, what a beautiful film. You know, you did such a great job. The last time it was which one was it?
Beautiful Mind?
No, before that,
Bicentennial
Bicentennial Man.
Oh.
Yeah, you know, so you know, I just every time I call him and he hears me whimpering on the other side, on the other end of the line, he knows I've seen one of his films. It's great. I love it.
But went 2 days later, and we were doing makeups, and Miles was sculpting, and
Yes.
Will Huff went with me, and we were doing makeups in like 10 days,
Yes.
lookalikes and things. But I just have to say, working on that film with
Yes.
Zach and Deborah Snyder,
Yes.
he did 300, you know?
Oh yes.
And,
oh my.
just the best.
Unbelievable.
Nicest people up there.
Yeah.
Best crew. It was such a perfect.
That makes the
actors-
experience really
Oh,
wonderful,
yeah.
especially when you've got a lot of responsibility. You can't deal with
Yeah.
people that are, outrageous.
Yeah,
You know.
but that film is. Wait till you see that movie.
Yeah, good. Will I cry again?
I don't think so. It's very
Now,
violent. But it's so.
tell me, you're doing another
incredible.
film up in Finland, up in my part of the world.
Then I took 6 months off, and now I'm doing a film. Yes.
Yes, and
Mannerheim.
Mannerheim, and he was one of the kings, I believe.
He was one of their
or-
leading generals and became president.
Yes, president
of Finland.
Finland.
And they're the only country that were able to fight off and never been taken over by the Russians in the First and Second World War.
Yes. Now, I've read a little about his life, and I've seen some actual photographs of him. Mm-hmm. And so you've got your work cut out for you there, too.
Yes, he
You're
goes
gonna
from
do
18 to 85.
18 to 85.
And the actor, Mikko, he's just, very chiseled,
Yes.
handsome young
Well, that's
man.
why they call
And-
you, because they know you can do it.
And when he was 85, he was very, frail,
Right.
just, sunken in.
Right. You know,
But,
I have to say this. You know, if you knew this man personally as I know him, and I want to tell the world this. You know, I've interviewed a lot of makeup artists. I've worked with a lot of makeup artists, and there are some artists, obviously, that are every bit as talented as you are. And but what sets you aside is the fact that you are one hell of a genuinely nice guy. You are focused. You are not egotistical. You're not. You're wonderful and great to be around. And that's what makes knowing you such a pleasure.
thank
And I'm
you.
sure that the people that work with you that have worked with you agree with me.
Well, when I got in the business, I saw some major ego
Right.
people, and
It's boring, isn't it?
and
It's
yeah,
really
and
boring.
I couldn't understand it, and I always thought I wanted to treat people like I would want to be treated.
Right, right.
So I've always tried to treat people decently, and
Exactly.
But it's like Dick Smith. He's such an incredible
Yeah.
man. And
He's
he
he's
shares his
wonderful.
talent, and he's. I just talked to him last week, and he's it's so great, and they're doing this special thing for him
Yes.
at the Academy
Yes.
this year, which is really wonderful.
Yes.
it's so much fun talking to him, and still talk to Rick occasionally,
Yes,
and,
yes.
and these great makeup artists,
Yeah,
too.
absolutely.
But,
I'll be interviewing, and you're all going to definitely want to tune in to see this as well. You're going to want to see this. In fact, you can come down and visit when we do it. I'm going to be interviewing Danny Strepek.
oh, he's the
And
best.
yeah, he's a wonderful man. I worked with Danny on Grease. I didn't get any credit, but it was Danny Strepek, John Chambers, and Johnny Elliott, and myself, and we did Grease. I didn't work the entire picture because I was working at ABC. Johnny was off and on at ABC. I was off and on at ABC, and but I did a lot of the work at the actual high school when we shot at Venice High, and that was the only time that I got to work with Dan Strepek. And it was like they got all the prosthetic guys together, the older ones and the younger ones, and Johnny and I, and if you look at this film, the beauty makeups, which you don't really expect them to be good if you've got a lot of people that do prosthetics, they were really, really good. Really, really great. But he'll be on, and we're videotaping the show in approximately a week and a half, so you've got to look for it right here on MUA TV, Danny Strepek.
He's one of my favorites.
Yeah, he's great.
so
He worked with
incredible.
Tom Hanks for so long, so long.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait to talk to him. So, young man, congratulations.
Thank you very
and
much.
for the nomination. I wish you tremendous luck, and I don't know that you need it. I know that things are always
Scary.
looking up. It's scary though, isn't it?
So terrifying
Really
going
scary.
through this.
You
But
never,
it's
you never know.
exhilarating at the same time.
Yeah, it is exhilarating. But after all is said and done, no matter what direction anything goes, the fact of the matter is that you've really raised the bar. You've raised the bar, and you continuously do that. And for that, I thank you. The whole world of makeup artists and fans, makeup fans, thank you. And we look forward to everything that you're going to do in the future. We look forward to seeing. It's Mannerheim, is that correct? Mannerheim.
Rennie Harlan.
Rennie Harlan, the great director, the great Finnish director.
Yes.
It's fantastic. Greg, thank you so much for taking
Thank you.
time out of your busy schedule and coming to... Well, this was a lot of fun. You're always a blast to have over here at MUA TV.
Thank you.
And I have to remind you, though, before we sign off, I have to remind you that you have promised to come by to do a demo for us after the Oscars. Were you going to do that for us?
Yes.
Would that be nice? And you're going to see Greg Cannom actually apply some silicone prosthetic appliances, and that'll be fun. And very educational as well.
Hopefully.
Yeah. All right, it's Joe Blasco with One Red Eye. I'm thanking you all for being such a wonderful audience and for sending us all of your comments and your wonderful emails. Please keep them coming. And on behalf of Greg Cannom and myself and my staff here at MUA TV in Hollywood, I bid you a good evening, afternoon, or it may be morning where you are. You stay tuned for more makeup and hair programming right here on MUA TV.